All right, welcome back, computer science students. This is a video series on inheritance. We're talking about polymorphism in this video, and so polymorphism is a kind of a tricky concept. It's a little weird. It only really makes sense if you've talked about what overridden methods are, and you have a decent understanding about how inheritance works, because it gets a little bit complicated, and there's certain rules to it that we have to pay attention to. So when we talk about polymorphism, we talk about the tester side of things. What happens when we have a Phoenix card object, or a Phoenix card holder object? What happens when we have a person object? What can we and can't we do with them, and how do they operate in certain conditions? So let's dive in. We have our person here at Elon. We have a Phoenix card holder here at Elon. All Phoenix card holders are people. Not all people are Phoenix card holders. Right? This was the concept we started with in this whole series. If you're a Phoenix card holder at Elon, then you are in the system as a person. But not every person in the system is also a Phoenix card holder. If you applied to Elon, didn't get in or didn't come, um, if there's a lot of situations that may show up where you're not a Phoenix card holder, but you are in Elon's system. And so let's see what happens as far as kind of getting back to the original weirdness we ran into with way back when we talked about frames and windows and containers. Let's see how our little setup here, our Phoenix card holder inheritance setup with person, works as far as calling methods. So to test this out, and this is where we'll see polymorphism happen, we look at, or we created, or I created for you, two methods. One is called Phoenix card holder printer. It takes a Phoenix card holder object and prints all of its information, all 5 important pieces of information. The Phoenix card holder ID, and note that because of how we overrode in the last video our get ID method, this will print out the Phoenix card holder ID and the person ID, the number of meals they have, and then the getters from our person class, get last name, get first name. So that way we get all of the information from our Phoenix card holder and print it out nicely. And then we're going to make a method called person printer, which just prints the 3 things that we know about a person: the ID, the last name, the first name. Okay? So let's figure out how we can call these. So let's start with Phoenix card holder. So our Phoenix card holder printer is printing 5 things: last name, first name, person ID, Phoenix card ID. So if we pass in a Phoenix card holder to it, this is what the printout will look like. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it here. The printout will look like this. It will print out our little debug printout per Phoenix card holder person. It will also use the getters for Phoenix card holder. It'll print out the person ID, the Phoenix ID. It'll print out that Jordan here has no meals. If you'll recall, this was an example where we set Jordan's last name to blank, but let me rerun it since I got rid of that code. No container example, yes to the Phoenix card holder example. So yeah, last name Jordan, or last name Jones, first name Jordan. Now that I've gotten rid of kind of the test code we did last time. And so we get all 5 pieces of information from our Phoenix card holder. Well, if you think about it conceptually, before I even uncomment this code here, it kind of makes sense that we cannot pass a person into this method. So remember, person is the superclass. When I have a method with a subclass, the superclass cannot be passed in. And it kind of makes sense because when I try to print, like block meals, for example, well, a person doesn't have block meals, right? It's not defined for a person. So it makes sense that if I tried to pass a person into this method that needs a Phoenix card holder and can therefore call Phoenix card holder methods like get block meals, that we can't do it. And so we can't, right? Phoenix card holder we can't have a person passed off as a Phoenix card holder because not every person is a Phoenix card holder. However, if we look at our person printer, we can pass in both a person and a Phoenix card holder. So both of our people can go into the second method call here. And it's because, well, when we look at our person, it has 3 pieces of information: an ID, a last name, and a first name. And so when we look at the methods the person class can call, well, it can only call its own methods. get ID, get first name, get last name are the only things that can print out and return, right? And a two-string, I guess. Well, Phoenix card holder has to have all this information, right? Every Phoenix card holder is a person, therefore it has an ID, a last name, and a first name. And so what's really interesting is two things. One, we can pass a Phoenix card holder in as a person. And two, when we do, the methods that are called, even though that this is a person object, and in the method this is treated as a person object, can only call person methods, right? It can only call a get ID, get last name, get first name. I can't do p dot get block meals because that wouldn't make any sense, right? Persons can't get block meals. So even though I don't have access to the Phoenix card holder methods in this method, because this method expects a person, if I call methods and they are overridden, and again, this is part of the complexity of overridden methods, but if I call overridden methods like getID or like toString, well, it's going to call the version that makes the most sense or that provides the most information. It's going to call the version in the Phoenix card holder class, in the subclass. So if it's an overridden method, I can call it because it exists in the superclass, but it also exists in the subclass, and if I call it, it will call the subclass version if possible. Right, so kind of hidden in the background, Java still tracks that this is a Phoenix card holder, and when I do person printer, yeah, it says person, but Java keeps track of the fact that the person that this is actually a Phoenix card holder, and so the methods that I call are on a Phoenix card holder, and so it calls the Phoenix card holder version. This is what polymorphism means. It means that we have a person, but really it's a Phoenix card holder. It's just disguised as a person. And so it's like a polymorphic thing. It's a person that's really a Phoenix card holder. And so it calls the Phoenix card holder methods. It calls toString for Phoenix card holder and gets all the Phoenix card holder information. It calls ID from the Phoenix card holder version because it's overridden. And so all of this happens under the guise of what's called polymorphism. Our person is actually a Phoenix card holder. It's disguised as a person, but really it's a Phoenix card holder. And so any of the methods that we could call on a person, if they're overridden in the Phoenix card holder class, we're going to call the Phoenix card holder version. And so that's probably the trickiest part of inheritance, is keeping track of this polymorphism or overridden methods and figuring out exactly which methods are going to get called and printed here. So it's a really, really tricky concept, but once you get it, once you get the idea that behind the scenes, the actual type of the object is what matters. Within a method, you're limited to only call methods in the person class, but if they're overridden, well, then the computer is going to know that kind of behind the scenes it's actually a Phoenix card holder, and it's going to call the Phoenix card holder version. So that's what polymorphism really means, is if you pass a subclass in to a method that takes a superclass, you can do it, and if you do, it's going to call your subclass methods. It's going to remember that, oh, actually, you say you're a person, but really you're a Phoenix card holder, and I can figure that out and use the Phoenix card holder methods. So hopefully all that makes sense. Please let me know if you have questions. Drop into office hours for extra help. CS tutors are available as well. And so hopefully all that makes sense. And I will hope to see you guys next time.